Greetings, pen pals. I have here a pen that is one of the most unusually dimensioned pens that I have ever seen. This is the Q1. This is sold under two brand names. It's sold under the Majohn brand name, but the packaging and the instructions and even the labeling on the pen itself say Moonman. So the pen is called the Q1. It's an eyedropper filled pen, and it does come with the eyedropper, but it's sold under the brand Majohn, or could be Moonman, depending on where you get it, but it definitely has the pen's branded Moonman on the pen and the nib itself, as we'll see in a minute. But dimension-wise, you could probably tell right away that this is a kind of a very odd pen. So here it is compared to a Lamy, Safari, and a Pilot Metropolitan. As you can see, it is much, much, much shorter than these pens, and it is much, much, much girthier and stubbier. So we're talking about a short, stubby pen here. If it wasn't for the girth, I'd say it's pocket pen size, but I'm not sure you'd want to do pocketable on this because it's just so stubby. It's just a very odd pen. In terms of the weight, it's not that light. I mean, it's got some hefty acrylic going on here, and it weighs in at 36 grams. Around the cap band, it says Moonman etched around the cap band, and that's the only other branding on the pen. It's got this stubby, short but somewhat functional clip, and like I said, it's got nice acrylic. It's got these nice chunky bits of acrylic on both ends, which look pretty nice. It is a screw to uncap pen that takes just under 2 turns to unscrew. Now, here's what it looks like unposted. So you probably do want to post this guy because it is so short, and it does post, and I would say posting is pretty much essential on here. I mean, it does barely clears your knuckles unposted. In terms of sections go, it's got a normal sort of tapered section. It's actually not, when it's posted, it's really not that uncomfortable. I mean, we'll see when we actually fill it and write with it, but all in all, not that uncomfortable. It is an eyedropper filled pen. You just simply unscrew the section and put some ink in here. So I think that is what we're going to do. We're going to put some ink in this, see how it writes, and we are going to do that pretty much right now. Should we do it on camera? I think we should do it on camera. We'll link it up on camera. All right, for ink, I'm going to use this Monteverde Sweet Life Iced Cookie ink. So I think that would be cool. But one thing I am going to do is we're going to put some silicone grease on the threads of this section, just because it's an eyedropper, and why not? It's probably not 100% necessary, but it's certainly easy enough to do before we ink the pen up, and it only takes, as you see, a few seconds. So I'm going to put some silicone grease on these threads, and then let's get ready to fill this. We have the ink. I'm going to use the eyedropper that came with the pen, why not? And let's just fill her up. And there we go. This is going to probably hold a pretty good amount of ink. And we'll give it one more squirt. Okay, so we've got that barrel pretty well filled. Let's just screw the section on, and put the cap on, and then I'm just going to let this sit for just a couple minutes upside down to let the ink work its way into the feed. Okay, it's just a couple minutes later, and our ink has worked its way into the feed, so we can write with our pen. And this pen that we're writing with is a Majohn or Moonman Q1, and this pen has a number 6 steel nib in fine. The nib itself is quite nice. It's got some scroll work. It says Moonman, has the Moonman logo. It says China, and has a little F for fine. So it's pretty nice, nice nib all in all, and of course, an uninspiring plastic feed. But this pen writes well. It's smooth. It's fairly wet. I'd say it's about average to slightly above average in wetness, but it does write really well. Big question is, how comfortable is it given its girth? The answer is it's okay. It's probably more comfortable than it probably actually looks. So I'd say it's surprisingly comfortable. Is it a pen I'd want to write with all day? Probably not. Now, if you have issues with your grip or strength issues in your hand or some sort of mobility issue with your fingers, this might actually, maybe you have arthritis, etc. Maybe, and you need a girthy, really girthy pen, this might actually be a really particularly good pen for you. So it is definitely something to consider. But it's not terrible for normal writing purposes. It is still short, even posted, and it's just, it's an odd little pen, that is for sure, but not insanely ridiculous. All in all, pretty nice pen that fits sort of the overall sort of Moonman aesthetic and Moonman product line pretty well. I have to say, I'm actually pleasantly surprised with it. When I first saw this listed online, I was a little bit skeptical of it, but I figured, hey, why not? Let's give it a shot. I certainly have odder pens than this, and this is not a terrible pen. I will try using it for a day in the office and see how that goes. But that is, I think, pretty much it for this pen. Let's talk about this nice ink here for a minute, shall we? Okay, this ink is Monteverde Ice Cookie. This is sort of like a bluish green that has some bit of sheen and a bit of shading to it. In terms of the base color, I don't really have too many inks that are this color. So here is a Roshizuku Kujaku, which is probably the one I have that's closest to it. In terms of another bluish green, we could compare it perhaps to Colorverse Photon, but it's really not like that one very much at all. So this one is somewhat of a unique color. It's a really nice color, and again, you get some shading and some color variation on it, which is quite nice. That's what it looks like on this Rhodia paper. Let's take a quick look at what it looks like on Tomoe River paper, shall we? Okay, folks, this ink is Monteverde. Iced Cookie. And like again, a very nice ink. We definitely have some sheen. We definitely have some shading here. All in all, a nice, cool looking ink with some cool features and a somewhat of a unique color, at least for me. But all in all, writes well, flows well, etc. Nice ink. Well, I think that will just about do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed making it. And as always, until we see each other again, have a great day. Bye-bye.